back in San Marcos for another night of WPF softball for Game 2 of this series between the Smoke and the Monarchs. And what a ride the Smoke have been on. The winning streak up to 16 straight. The latest win coming in last night's opener. Tonight, the Monarchs look to end that skid as they face off against the reigning champs. Coming to you on the official WPF YouTube channel, Brant Freeman alongside Haley McKay. Another win for the Smoke last night, Haley. And again, two-out hitting seemed to be a defining factor.
Yeah, the Texas Smoke is just so tough to put away with 2 outs. It was a 2-1 game going into the 6th, but the Smoke were able to put up 4 runs with 2 outs. The Monarchs on the flip side, 0 for 7 with 2 outs. So once again, the Smoke just so difficult to put away, can never count them out of an inning or a game.
The only pitcher to beat the Smoke this season is Jaden Vickers, as she gets the ball tonight for the Monarchs. In that performance all the way back on June 23rd, more than a month ago, Vickers, a complete game, struck out 9 and a 5-2 win for the Monarchs, and her team is going to need a performance like that tonight to have a chance to knock off the champs. Speaking of which, a look at the batting order for the Smoke, and again leading off is Janae Jefferson. She'll be followed by the red-hot Silent Rain Espinoza, who's now homered in 7 straight games, and then Jazz Hill, all batting here in the first. Hitters 4 through 6, Charlotte Eccles, Savannah Jaquish, and Morgan Howe. And then batters 7 through 9, Jada Cody, Maddie Graham, and Anna Marie Bruni for the 19-1 Texas Smoke. Starting pitcher last night for the Monarchs, Aspen Wesley gave her team a chance. 5 solid innings, only gave up a single earned run and struck out 3. But as Haley said, once the game reaches 6th inning and the 2-out hitting started to come around, that's when the Smoke pulled away. This game starts off with the ball down, 1-0 to Janae Jefferson.
We've talked about this all season long here on WPF broadcast, but these pitchers have had a tough time retiring hitters when the ball is left over the white part of the plate, and especially when it's over the white part of the plate and elevated. So you talked about the great night Jaden Vickers had early in the season. Gonna have to use the corners effectively and keep the ball down at the knees, spin it really well, use her setup pitches to keep these hitters guessing.
There's our first call strike of the game by our plate umpire, Jermaine O'Gwin. So now 2-1 to Jefferson. Well, again, the long ball has really defined this team's offense this year. Jefferson smacks a base hit up the middle towards the gap in left center. Sliding down to cut it off short of the warning track is St. Clair, but not before Jefferson legs out a double. And what a way to start for the Smoke here in Game 2.
This ball off the bat of Janae Jefferson was hit so hard. Got out to the left center field gap in a hurry. Riley St. Clair out in center field for the Monarchs. Smart decision to go for the slide and keep it in front of her. But just a slight bobble allowed Jefferson, who was thinking to all the way out of the box, to get into second safely with a stand-up double.
And that is the 4th double of the series already for the Smoke, as Espinoza comes up and takes a strike. So again, the long ball for this team. 3 homers last night, one of those off the bat of Espinoza. Eccles and Hill had the others. And you look back at the last 12 games, and the Smoke have hit 35 home runs. Unbelievable numbers for this team.
All I can do is just giggle. I mean, that's video game type stuff. It's just crazy.
At 15 to the 4-game sweep of Hub City last week.
I would not want to be a pitcher in this league, I'll say that.
Once the pro bats were introduced to all 4 teams, we've seen the ball flying off the bat for everybody, but for the Smoke, it's really kind of elevated their play.
They were swinging the bats well even before the pro bats entered the scene, but you're exactly right. As soon as the pro bats entered the game, it was balls that you typically see as routine flyouts just flying out of the ballpark.
Espinoza gets plunked on 2 strikes against Vickers, so now the first 2 are on. Nobody out, and Piper, the veteran catcher, going to talk to Vickers here. Already a troublesome start here for Vickers. 2 on, nobody out. And the next 2 batters, we just talked about him, Jazz Hill and Charlotte Eccles.
Both Jazz Hill and Charlotte Eccles homered last night, both swinging very hot bats. Charlotte Eccles can hit both sides of the plate so hard, as well as Jazz Hill. Now you've got to go right at Jazz Hill here if you're Jaden Vickers in the circle.
Season numbers for Hill against Monarch pitching. Hitting .316 with a couple of home runs, one of those last night. Also has a grand slam. And Jefferson's going to retreat back to second base. Bluff going to third. And it's 0-1 here to Jazz Hill.
Hill squared around there to try to bait the defense out of position to get Jefferson over to third. Smart decision by Jefferson to put on the brakes and head back.
I know, Haley, you would hit in the middle of the order when you're playing college softball. Now, how big do your eyes get when you got a couple of runners on and nobody out in that situation?
Sometimes a little too big, for sure, especially early in the ball game. You want to take that opportunity to put your team on top, set the tone. That way your defense going out in the bottom of the first inning feels good about it. But if you're really locked in as a hitter, whether there's runners on or nobody on, your approach, you want it to stay the same, which is obviously easier said than done.
That's a fair ball. Vickers has one play, and it is made at first base. Not an easy play there for Vickers. Had to field that ball, then turn and fired accurately to first base, and she does. And that's the first out of the game.
It's almost a little bit of a swinging bunt there from Jazz Hill. Vickers got her out in front, but a productive at-bat nonetheless. And as you said, Brant, great job by Vickers to stay composed, turn all the way around, and make a strong throw over to first. Not easy to do as a lefty in the circle.
Here's Charlotte Eccles now for the Smoke. Homered last night in the first inning, a 2-run shot. Did so with 2 strikes and 2 outs. Something else we saw from Eccles last night, too, was just phenomenal defense at third as well. 2 great defensive third basemen in this series, arguably the top 2 defensive third basemen in the league.
Charlotte Eccles has been so solid on both sides of the ball throughout her entire career. Held down third base for the entirety of her Florida Gator career. Sarah Vanderford on the flip side playing third base for the Monarchs right now. Another just phenomenal athlete. So many times you talk about how well they swing the bats, but when you really watch them play defense and how well they understand the game, it's incredible to watch.
Swing and a miss, and Vickers strikes out Eccles. Worked the outer half of the plate a lot in that at-bat, gets her swinging, and that's out number 2.
What a huge out from Jaden Vickers. Great job setting up Charlotte Eccles, then be able to go to that changeup away from her, get Eccles to chase out in front. If she can get out of this inning without surrendering a run, that's a huge victory for the Monarchs here.
Starts off Jaquish with a strike, and it's 0-1 to the Smokes' designated player, Savannah Jaquish. 1 for 3 last night for the season, hitting .462 against the Monarchs.
Savannah Jaquish is just such an imposing presence in the box. She uses her lower half so well. You can see her really sit into that backside, has so much power.
Interesting, Jaquish only wears 1 batting glove, by the way. You see it on her left hand. That right hand does not have a glove on it. It is a patriotic glove as well, as you see the U.S. flag and the Velcro flap. Of course, Jaquish has played for the U.S. national team. She was overseas along with Janae Jefferson in Italy a couple of weeks ago.
You know, these athletes that play for Team USA softball right now are just dying to have softball in Paris 2024.
Oh, yeah.
It's really a bummer that it wasn't included. But at least they have opportunities like this to continue playing, keep the hopes and dreams alive for 2028 in L.A.
Which, of course, we know while the Olympic Games are in L.A., as of right now, softball is scheduled to be played in Oklahoma City in those Olympic Games.
Yes, which is a great idea because of the stadium and the infrastructure that's already there. There's not another stadium in the country that can support the crowd that you can have at Oklahoma City. So a lot of these athletes here, too, that are competing for that spot are very familiar with that ballpark.
2-out walk to Jaquish will load him up now for Morgan Howe. So there's Jefferson, the leadoff double to start the game. Espinoza got hit by a pitch on 2 strikes. She's at second base. A couple of outs later, then the walk to Jaquish. Add it all up, it is a sticky situation here for Vickers with Morgan Howe, the reigning player of the year, now coming up with the bases loaded.
There really are no holes in this Smoke lineup. You just have to go right at every single hitter, work from ahead, try to use your off speed effectively. Doesn't get any easier all night long for these Texas Monarchs.
Howe was hitless last night, 0 for 4, swings and grounds one to the right side. And getting back to first in time is Kelly Torres, and the Smoke strand 3. So Vickers got into trouble, but also gets outs. The Smoke load them up, but do not score. We go to the bottom of the first inning. Monarchs batting for the first time. Here's Sam Marcus. In the circle tonight for the Smoke is Autumn Pease. Last time she pitched here in a game against Coastal Bend a couple of weeks ago, went 5 2/3, only gave up a single earned run and struck out 5. She's beaten the Monarchs before the season as well, all the way back on opening weekend. So Pease takes the circle for game 2 of the series after Samantha Schau started the game last night and got the win. And Pease will face a lineup tonight for the Texas Monarchs looking like this. Kylie Sam will lead things off. She'll be followed by Briley St. Clair and the red-hot Sarah Vanderford, who homered last night. And then Lily Piper bats in the cleanup spot, followed by Susie Brookshire, who also homered in the series opener. Kelly Torres bats 6. 7, 8, and 9 look like this. Jada Kearney, Trinity Slaughterbeck, and Devin Flaherty. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first inning. Monarchs trying to end a season-long 6-game losing skid, and in the process trying to snap the Smoke's incredible 16-game winning streak.
The Monarchs found themselves in a little bit of trouble in the top of the first, but great job by Jaden Vickers and her defense to be able to get out of that jam.
Sand against Pease. Advantage Kylie Sand early on here. 1 ball to no strikes. Sand was 0 for 3 in last night's opener. For the season, batting just a .143 against the Smoke, but one of those 2 hits she has, a bases clearing double on opening weekend. So again, 16 wins in a row. Really impressive. Got me to thinking about the Division I record winning streak, which actually ended this college year. 71 straight wins for Oklahoma, dating back to the 2023 season. It ended against Louisiana. The Raging Cajuns out of the Sun Belt snapped that streak in a non-conference tournament back in February.
Just to put that into perspective, there's a class of athletes that played an entire year that never lost. I mean, I can't imagine playing a full season of softball and not dropping a game. That's just unbelievable.
Unheard of. You hear sometimes some records weren't meant to be broken, and you never want to say never as Sand lines out to echoes of third. But I'm not sure anybody is ever going to break that record of 71 straight.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, you know, think of Oklahoma for a second. As great as that program is, and they're in one of the great dynasties of college softball ever currently. Now they're in the SEC. Not saying the SEC, not saying the Big 12 is a bad conference, but the SEC is just a completely different monster.
Well, and I think what makes the SEC tougher in the long run is the level of competition that you face week in and week out. There's no lulls in that because the Big 12, as it was last year, yes, you have your powerhouses of Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, but then you have teams like Baylor, Iowa State that could get really hot, or some weekends they really struggled. And so not that you can ever take an opponent lightly at the Division I level, but especially in a conference like the SEC with just juggernauts all the way up and down the conference, it's going to be really interesting. And I'm personally very excited to see how both Texas and Oklahoma compete in the SEC.
1 strike to Bradley St. Clair, and take strike 2 on the ball that dropped in there at the knees of St. Clair, who was hitless last night. But a tough year for her against Smoke pitching, now 1 for 14. And behind here, 1-2, facing Autumn Pease. And goes down looking. First strikeout tonight for Pease. St. Clair back into the dugout, 2 outs here in the first inning.
It's a great location from Pease. We could see against Kylie Sand, she was trying to dial in that outside corner, able to find it here against Bradley St. Clair, who just can't pull the trigger.
Bases empty, 2 outs for Sarah Vanderford, and she takes a strike, so Pease going right after her. Vanderford a home run last night. Good numbers on the year against the Smoke, now batting .353. Way ahead of that pitch, waves and misses, and falls behind 0-2.
It's a really dirty changeup from Pease right there. It's the first time she's shown it in this game. Vanderford trying to be aggressive on an 0-1 count, but just not ready for that off speed at all.
That's a tough take there in 2 strikes. Vanderford does. It's a ball and 2 strikes now. And tonight rocking the all-white look. Everything save the helmet, jersey, pants, socks, and shoes. Almost that stormtrooper look tonight.
I was just going to say that. Took the words right out of my mouth. I'm sure their laundry staff member loves it.
Swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks for Pease in the first inning and retires the Monarchs in order. So 1 inning in the books, no score between the Smoke and the Monarchs. We go to the second after Pease strikes out a couple of Monarchs. St. Clair and Vanderford back-to-back Ks. Zeros on the board as we go to the second in San Marcos. What a win streak for Kat Tarvin's team. 16 straight W's for the Texas Smoke. looking to extend that to 17 in a row tonight. During the streak, the Smoke have outscored their opponents by nearly 100 runs. Run margin of plus 96 over the last 16 games.
I feel like we keep throwing out these wild stats that the Smoke have put up, and it doesn't sound reasonable, but it's just when you have a roster stack like this that plays the game with so much professionalism and so much conviction. They don't chase balls out of the zone. Their pitchers work from ahead. They do so many things the right way. It's no surprise that they have the numbers to back it up.
Jada Cody leading off the second here for the Smoke. A ground ball chopped up the middle. Great pick by Flaherty. Able to make that throw in front of the second base bag for the first out.
Devin Flaherty is just an absolute machine over at shortstop to be able to read the ball so well, pick the right hop. She makes everything look so easy over there at shortstop, whether it's a routine ground ball or a crazy short hop pick like that.
One away for Maddie Grimm. Base is empty. And it takes ball one low. Again, how about the job by Jaden Vickers in the first inning? Got into trouble, gave up a double, hit a batter, two batters in. The Smoke wound up loading them up and did not give up a run.
Our defense also helped her out with a super clutch play over at second base, but she never panicked. She looked the exact same in the circle from pitch 1 to out number 3 of that inning. Just very composed, continuing to trust her stuff, trust her defense. Really, really impressive job because, as we've talked about with the 2-out numbers that the Smoke has put up, that inning could have gotten out of hand in a hurry.
Again, that's where the game felt like it was decided last night. The Smoke with 2 outs were 6 for 13. Of the 6 runs they scored, 4 of them with 2 outs. Meanwhile, for the Monarchs, not a single hit with 2 outs last night, 0 for 7.
When you have really close 2-run ball games going into the later innings, it typically comes down to who's going to get that clutch hit. And oftentimes that clutch hit comes with 2 outs late in the ball game, that hence the name clutch, right? So for the Smoke to be able to put up 4 runs with 2 outs compared to 0 for 7 like we talked about in the open for the Monarchs, that also builds tremendously on the momentum of the game. Because if you get one clutch hit, it typically leads to another. Hitting's contagious. But if you continuously miss the boat with runners in scoring position, then you're in a situation as a hitter where you're trying to do more, trying to press a little bit, and you're making a game that's already hard, even harder than it already is.
Full count here to Maddie Grimm. Anna Marie Bruni waiting on deck for the Smoke, and we'll see her come to the plate with a base runner at first as Grimm draws a 1-out walk. That is his second walk given up by Vickers.
I mentioned this earlier, no holes in this Smoke lineup. Anytime you're putting yourself in a position as a defense with the bottom of the lineup and free passes, it starts to get dangerous for the Monarchs. You don't want to walk the bottom of the lineup and turn it over to your hot hitters at the top.
Bruni with the chopper, got by Vanderford, backed up by the shortstop Flaherty, but the throw not in time. Bruni, good wheels, beats it out. Infield base hit, puts 2 on with the top of the order coming up.
You can't place a slap better than this right here. Sarah Vanderford, third baseman, does everything that she can to try to cut it off. Flaherty behind her made a strong throw over to first, but you said it, Brant, the speed is just too much. Also, really heads-up play by Flaherty to be able to get back over to third base after making the throw to make sure that Grimm couldn't advance up behind her.
So 2 on, 1 away. Top of the order batting here today, Jefferson. Doubled off of Vickers in her first at-bat. Her second double of the series. Also had a 2-bagger last night. Again, a lot of time this summer for Jefferson with the national team, the American national team. In past years has helped lead Team USA to gold medals in the World Games in 2022 and last year the Pan American Games in 2023. That ball lined to left and serves that one to the gap in left center. That's going to crack the scoreboard as Grimm scores. Rounding third is Bruni, a 2-run double for Jefferson. It is 2-0 Texas Smoke.
Janae Jefferson, how about 2 at-bats and 2 doubles on the night so far? Picked up right where she left off in her first at-bat, just wearing out that left center field gap. So much speed on the bases, and Maddie Grimm and Anna Marie Bruni able to score easily all the way from first. Jefferson just does such a good job staying on plane with the ball. That pitch is maybe right off the mid-shin, and she just lines it on a rope out into left center field.
2-run double. Jefferson 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles now. And it brings him side of the lane, Espinosa. Espinosa pops one up in the air to right. And grabbing it is Brookshire for the second out of the inning. You know, we have called a lot of the Smoke games this season. This is their home ballpark, although tonight in the series, technically the road team. I can't remember how many times we've seen this team trailing. They just get that early lead so many times, put a lot of pressure on the opposition.
That's such a good point. The Smoke just is all gas, no brakes. From pitch number 1 to pitch, let's say 150, 160 in the ball game, they're just so locked in from start to finish. And when you have an offense as potent as the Smokes is, it gives the pitching staff just so much breathing room. They don't have to be perfect. They can give up solo shots here and there, maybe even a 2-run home run. I mean, it's no secret this offense is going to put up runs. So as a pitcher and a defense, that takes so much pressure off my back.
1 ball, 1 strike to Jazz Hill. Today, Jefferson at second base, 2 outs. Moments ago, a 2-run double hit by Vickers to break the scoreless tie. That's a miss outside, now 2-1.
The other thing when you think about the Smoke is when we have seen them behind in ball games, it doesn't last long. They have a very short memory. They focus very much on where their feet are at in that moment, how they can win that inning, that pitch. They're not thinking 2, 3, 4 innings ahead in the ball game. They're just focused on putting good swings on good pitches. Smoke doesn't chase a lot out of the zone. Just really a well-oiled machine.
Two. And Hill sharply lines that to right. Jefferson, all kinds of speed, is going to score easily to extend the lead to 3-0 on the Jazz Hill RBI base hit.
His ball off the bat of Jazz Hill was absolutely smoked. Great job. Gets herself in a hitter's count. It's an outside pitch. It's elevated, and she just smashes it right down the 3-4 hole. No play for either Torres or Sand over at first and second. Even Susie Brookshire out there in right field had a hard time cutting it off, and it was just a few steps to her glove side.
And another 2-out hit in the series here for the Smoke. Now 3-0 game. And brings up Charlotte Eccles here. You're getting back to the Smoke and how often they trailed. One example I can think of came a couple of weeks ago, series opener against Coastal Bend. The tidal wave took a 1-0 lead into the bottom of the 6th inning. And then one of those big innings happened for the Smoke, scoring 7 times and wound up winning by 6 as that fly ball taken care of by Jada Kearney to end the inning, but the damage done by the Smoke. Jefferson a 2-run double, Jazz Hill an RBI base hit, and just like that, the Smoke are on top of the Monarchs, 3-0. Monarchs have dug themselves an early hole as Candace Fenton-Bachbrader looks on. The Monarchs head coach, 3-run scoring for the Smoke in the top of the second. So yet again, this team is playing from behind against the hottest team in the league. The Smoke have won 16 straight.
It's hard to play behind in any capacity in the game of softball, but when you know you're going up against a team that's stacked the way the Smoke has and how many 2-out runs they've scored, I mean, we're going to start to sound like a broken record up here when we keep talking about it, but it's just so impressive. You can't overstate how difficult it is to put the Smoke away and to keep them at bay throughout a game. I mean, the example you just gave in the top of the second where they were down 1-0 all the way to the 6th, that's a very rare occurrence that we've seen this season.
Leadoff batter here for the Monarchs, Lily Piper, should be followed by Brookshire and Torres here in the seconds. Pease navigated through the top of the order, in the first, with a couple of strikeouts along the way.
Pease looked really sharp in the bottom of the first. Took her a few pitches to dial it in against Kylie Sand, but once she did, she's been all attack, used her off speed effectively early on as well.
Pease, after wrapping up a great career in Minnesota, was the 10th overall pick of the WPF draft last year in 2023. That after being named the Big Ten's Pitcher of the Year at Minnesota. Gets Piper to pop up at the left side. Eccles has the catch, and there's one out here in the second.
Great location from Autumn Peace on this screwball to Lily Piper. Gets Piper to chase on a pitch up and in her hands. Piper just unable to get the barrel out there and drive that pitch. And those are the kind of pitches, when you talk about leaving balls over the white, we've seen a lot of pitchers miss that sweet spot of up and in. Sometimes they get it up, sometimes they don't get it in enough, but really great location there from Autumn Peace.
Brookshire ahead early against Pease, 1 ball, no strikes. Brookshire had one of the 2 homers last night for the Monarchs. Just 3 hits for the Monarchs last night, but again, 2 of those home runs, courtesy of Vanderford and Brookshire. The Brookshire homer was a 2-run shot, came off of Jessica Mullins in the 7th inning. Created a little bit more drama in the 7th. At the time, it was a 6-1 game before the Brookshire 2-run shot. But then Mullins, to her credit, settled in, got the next 3 batters out to secure the win. And again, the 16th straights for the Smoke, who are now 19-1 through the first 20 games of the year.
I think that's one of the things that's impressed me the most about watching these athletes this season is, and again, they're professionals. They've been doing this for a long time, but the way that they maintain their composure regardless of the situation around them. And that's such a huge lesson. The earlier you can learn that as an athlete, the better, because there's so many things that are going to happen in this sport that you have no control over. But the things that you do have control over, you need to be able to execute and be present and make sure you take care of business, because with the way that momentum plays a role in this sport, things can get out of hand quickly. Got to find ways to stop the bleeding, leave the mistakes in the past, and focus on being where your feet are.
And Brookshire able to check her swing. And so the Monarchs have their first base runner. It is a 1-out walk for Brookshire. Going to bring up Kelly Torres. And the first walk of the night given up by Autumn Peace. 5 games into the season series against the Monarchs, and it's been an impressive strikeout to walk ratio for the Smoke pitching staff. 30 Ks, only 15 walks through 5 games. Bunt down from Torres, fielded by Pease. Jefferson's not to first base in time. And out of third base goes Brookshire. The second is Torres. So Kelly Torres challenging the infield defense, and it pays off. And now a couple of runners in scoring position.
Kelly Torres showed that sneaky bunt so late. Definitely caught the defense for the Smoke off guard. She bunts it pretty hard, but Jefferson unable to get over to first in time. Peace probably should have put that in her pocket versus throwing it away, because Jefferson had to hold up to make sure she didn't get run over. Even if that throws on line, I don't think she's going to get Kelly Torres flying down the line. And now the Monarchs have a chance to respond here.
2 on, 1 out for Jada Kearney, who takes strike 1. Kearney starting tonight after not playing last night in the series opener. The former Georgia Bulldog steps in here. Big chance for Kearney. Runner second and third, 1 away. An air charge to Autumn Pease. And that is the first error of the series against the Texas Smoke.
The infield for the Smoke is playing in tight right now, trying to cut down Brookshire over at third base if she takes off on a ball in the dirt.
Kearney, another player with U.S. national team experience. Played with the USA Softball's national team in the 2023 Japan All-Star Series before going into her final year at Georgia. Swing and a miss and a strikeout. That's the third of the night for Pease. 2 outs through the second.
Another great pitch in a big spot from Autumn Peace. Goes to the drop ball away from Kearney. And even though the pitch prior was off the plate, it's set up this one for Kearney to get her to swing through and pick up out number 2 with 2 on. Huge pitch.
Now to the plate, Trinity Slaughterback watches the pitch drop in for a strike to fall behind 0-1. Slaughterback, like a handful of players in the league, a two-way player, as she was in college as well, at FAU in Maryland. Nothing in 2 to Slaughterback.
I really like how Peace is using her changeup a lot the first time through the order, but she's also changing up the counts that she throws it in. We've seen her throw it in a 3-1 count. We've seen her throw it for the first strike of the at-bat in an 0-0 count. And as a hitter, it's hard to sit changeup when there's when it's not thrown a lot. Here it's being thrown a lot, but it's not a predictable count that you're seeing it, not just when she's ahead or just when she's behind.
Just saw it there, and you saw that bat of Slaughterback's way out in front, was just able to get a piece of it.
Yeah, she's doing a really good job locating it, and like I said, mixing it in well in her sequences so it's not predictable when a changeup is going to come.
Oh, 2. Borderline pitch. The call goes Slaughterback's way. A ball and 2 strikes. Devin Flaherty waits on deck. Monarchs trying to respond after the Smoke put up 3 in the top of the second. Monarchs looking for their first 2-out hit of the series. Not going to get it here. Pease strikes out Slaughterback. She's up to 4 Ks in the game. And that'll do it for the Monarchs in the second. 2 reach, but nobody scores. So 2 scoreless and hitless innings so far for Autumn Pease. As we go to the third inning, 2-0, or make it 3-0, Smoke on top. 2 innings in the books. Well, some good news for the fans tonight to include Photo Pete. You can see he's got a monogrammed hat, by the way. There's Pete the photographer. So yeah, good news for him and this young fan here. Everybody in the ballpark. We wondered last night, since the Smoke are technically the road team, would there be a post-game fireworks show on a Friday? The answer is yes. After the game is over, the fans, to include Ricky Wooder, the Texas State head coach, and some of her players, can catch a post-game fireworks show at Game's End tonight.
Can't ask for a better Friday night at the ballpark. Getting it all set up out there.
Inning starts with a ball hit up the middle by Savannah Jaquish, fielded cleanly by Devin Flaherty. So 1 up and 1 down for Vickers on 1 pitch here in the third, with the Smoke on top 3-0.
Devin Flaherty at short, just doing what Devin Flaherty does, covering so much ground on another really hard hit ball from Savannah Jaquish. Just makes it look so easy. I just can't get over it. And she's just having a blast out there.
One of the shortstops you played with a good chunk of your career at Texas State. Obviously, Tara Ullman was a phenomenal shortstop. What do you remember about ground balls hit to her? And you at first base, what was going through your mind as you see a ball hit to the shortstop?
She was just so steady over there at short. And having those teammates that you know it's more of a, oh my gosh, she just made an error, rather than that feeling of nerves of, oh, it's hit to her again, I got to brace myself. She's just steady Eddie over there at shortstop. And not only in terms of her play, but even in terms of her communication, was very good about rallying the infield, making everyone feel calm, understanding the situation. And that pre-pitch communication is so important with your infield.
Two quick outs here for Vickers. Got Howe to pop up. So nobody on, 2 down for Jada Cody. You get the sense that Vickers, working so hard the last 2 innings, could really use a 1-2-3 here. Threw 23 pitches in the first, 20 more pitches in the second.
She's definitely turned it around here in the third. Got a 1-pitch out with Jaquish, a 2-pitch out with Morgan Howe. Again here ahead of Jada Cody. And this is where you can tell that these athletes start to separate themselves from those at the college level. I mean, you think about the first 2 innings of work that she had, over 40 pitches. Now here she is in the 3rd inning of work. Still no break in the lineup. Still hard hit balls, but just continuing to make adjustments and go right at these hitters.
And there is a 1-2-3 frame for Jaden Vickers. That fly ball taken care of by Susie Brookshire. And so, just like that, in the blink of an eye, we go to the bottom of the third. 3-0 Smoke on top. You're watching the WPF on the official YouTube channel. Two innings in so far, Haley, and Autumn Pease looking filthy out there. 6 outs, 4 of them strikeouts in this game.
Peace has just been absolutely dealing, and it's all set up by her changeup. She's used it in several different counts. She's unpredictable when she throws it, and then her fastball, her screwball, and her curve just all firing on all cylinders, locating on the corners. Hitters for the Monarchs having a really hard time sticking to a plan, it looks like. Kind of chasing a little bit all over the zone. Can't decide what they want to attack. Peace is doing a great job keeping them off balance.
You look at the Smoke pitching because you get so caught up in all of the home runs the offense has pieced together. But in 5 games this season now against the Monarchs, a staff ERA under 3, 2.73, and a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio as well. And Pease building upon those numbers here tonight. No runs given up, no hits through 2 innings with the 4 strikeouts. Heading into the bottom of the third, 3-0, Smoke on top.
Going back to your point on the ERA with all the success the Smoke pitchers have had, when you think about how many times these teams have played each other already this season, it's only a 4-team league. So it almost puts those numbers even in more perspective. These hitters are so good to be able to have an ERA around 3 when you face each other so many times. Such a testament to what the Smoke pitching staff has been able to do.
One of the members of the staff you just saw, Jessica Mullins, pitched the final 2 innings last night. Samantha Shaw got the start last night for the Smoke. Saw Jayla Wright working in the bullpen earlier as well. Just a stacked pitching staff coupled with a stacked lineup, and no surprise why this team is out to a 19-1 start. 0-2 to Flaherty. And rolls that one foul.
There's that changeup again from Pease. Good job by Flaherty. Got a little bit fooled with her body, but able to just keep her hands back and foul it off. That's another thing that's really impressed me about the hitters in this league is even when they're down in the count, they found ways to just absolutely spoil pitches. And they're not necessarily hitting them hard, but just be able to get rid of it and get another opportunity. So impressive.
Would have thought that with these 2 teams both calling this ballpark their home park, they would be playing each other more this year. This is the last regular season series between the 2. Now, that's not to say they won't meet again. The postseason's a possibility. But they face each other opening weekend, haven't played each other since until this week, and not facing each other anymore.
It is funny when you think about how many times they've been in this same area. A couple weekends ago, had a doubleheader with all 4 teams here each day. They didn't play each other then either. A lot of these teams are very familiar with the teammates, are very familiar with other teammates as well. Softball is such a small knit community when you think about it.
Flaherty retired. We start at the bottom of the third. That's going to bring us back to the top of the order to Kylie Sand. By the way, we were talking about the pitch count workload for Jaden Vickers. 23 pitches in the first, 20 the second, in the top of the third through just 6.
And that's what it's all about. It's making adjustments. We've talked about this before. This game is so hard, and it doesn't get easier as you get older. You just get better at it, and you have to find ways, especially early in the game when it's not going your way. What can you change? What adjustment can you make? How can you get ahead in the count? How can you throw their timing off as a hitter? All those little things can make such a huge difference in the ball game.
0-2 to Sand. Still looking for her first hit of the series. Monarchs looking for their first hit of the game. Oh, 2 from Autumn Pease. That's a miss, a ball and 2 strikes. So the Smoke, again, in first place with that record of 19-1. 10.5 games up on second place, Coastal Bend. It feels like a formality. At this point, the Smoke will end up with the best record of the regular season and the top seed in the WPF postseason as well. As we watch the 1-2, and Sand with a ground ball bounces off the glove of Eccles. A rare time. Eccles doesn't make a play at third. And Sand's going to reach with 1 out.
Really great at bat by Kylie Sand. She had to work for every pitch, tried to use the short game, wasn't able to time up the changeup, finally got a pitch that she could handle. And this ball was roped down the line. Charlotte Eccles tried to go to the picks, really the only option she had, unable to come up with it cleanly. Bounced over to Maddie Grimm at short, tried to hustle over there to maybe make a play, but the speed of Kylie Sand is too much, and now the Monarchs have their first hit of the night.
That was scored as an arrogant Eccles challenged here again. The throw to second base Jefferson leaning, able to field that throw to get the force play. So Eccles immediately makes amends and makes that play to second for out number 2.
I'm going to have a hot take on the last play off of St. Clair. That ball was hit really hard. I think that's one of those plays where if you make it, you're a hero. And as a third baseman, there's not much else you could do in that situation. But as you said, Eccles taking a bunt, responding immediately. Look at that full sellout by Jefferson to be able to keep the ball and her foot on the bag. Nice play picking up her teammate.
Runner on, 2 outs for Sarah Vanderford. By the way, I'm not 100% sure, but I swear when Sand reached first base, she took a Starburst out of her pocket. She was unwrapping something. It was either chewing gum or a Starburst.
Whatever it takes. Maybe that's her superstition. You never know.
And Vanderford laces that to right, bounces off the glove of Howe. That will afford another base for the lead runner, St. Clair, all the way to third. So Vanderford has the Monarchs' first hit, and the tying run comes up with 2 outs.
Vanderford doing such a great job staying on plane with this pitch from Peace. It's low in the zone, lets it travel so deep, almost hits that off of her back knee. The bobble out and right by Morgan Howe, enabling Bradley St. Clair to move all the way around to third. And now the Smoke has committed 2 errors here in this inning.
Now 3 errors in the game after an errorless night last night of the opener. So with 2 outs, here's Lily Piper. Bunts that one out of play. That was the first 2-out hit of the series for the Monarchs, courtesy of Sarah Vanderford. We're again talking about the top record in the regular season. Now, the college level, there are championships awarded to regular season winners. Every conference in the country awards one. But at the pro level, you really don't hear that a whole lot. You think about, the Big Four, the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL, never really hear about, a championship banner awarded to the team with the best record of the regular season. They're simply rewarded with the top seed in that year's playoffs.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel like there should be a regular season champion?
Following pro sports for so long, I think it'd be strange at this point to change that. So I would say no. It feels like, you win the title, and the title is, the Lombardi Trophy or the Larry O'Brien or whatever the case may be. And you don't do that, then, you don't get a championship banner. As Piper flies out to center, Donna Marie Bruni to end the bottom of the third. So the Monarchs get their first hit, get 2 runners on, but still can't score against Autumn Pease. As a result, it's still 3-0, Smoke on top. Some frustration shown by Lily Piper moments ago. A couple of runners on with 2 outs. An RBI chance for Piper. Pops up to center field and pretty mad at herself, safe to say.
Yeah, definitely not the composure you want to see as her teammate there. The game's frustrating, but you got to find a way to take your losses when they come. And the thing about this game is it's always going to come back around to you. And it's okay to express your emotions, but you got to make sure you were able to release it and continue playing the game. So we'll see if Lily Piper gets another opportunity with runners in scoring position, and if she does, what she's able to do with it.
Do you think that also, conversely could show to your teammates how badly, you want to come through for them?
Yeah, I think it could. I think it just depends on the person and like how they manage their emotion, right? Like, I don't have a personal relationship with Lily Piper, so how I perceive that could be completely different than how her teammates perceive that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just all about having that relationship with them off the field. Is that how she is all the time? If so, then her teammates probably don't bat an eye, but it's a good thing that she cares, but you just got to find a way to not be a distraction to your teammates in that sense.
Leadoff batter of the 4th inning for the Smoke, Maddie Grimm. Facing off against Jaden Vickers, her 4th inning in the circle here for the Monarchs. Counts 2 balls and no strikes. We were having a conversation about best record of the regular season, college level, you win a championship. You're part of a Texas State team in 2018 that won dual championships in the Sun Belt, regular season and tournament. So let me ask you this, as Grimm pops it up, Baniford has a look at it but no play. So you won, obviously, the regular season title first. Had you not won the tournament, how would that have felt?
It would have been a disappointment for sure. And I think it would have been detrimental to just the momentum of the season, because you want to obviously be playing your best going into postseason and then into the NCAA tournament at the college level.
We're able to fly ball to left. That is pelted and gone. Opposite field home run for Maddie Grimm. It is 4-0 Smoke on top.
What a beautiful swing from Maddie Grimm. Just absolutely goes down and demolishes that pitch from Jaden Vickers. Just a no-doubter off the bat. We've seen this so many times in this ballpark. Any pitch that's left up over the heart of the plate, there's another one right down Broadway, and Maddie Grimm just crushes it.
Grimm homered twice in the Hub City Series last week. First homer of the game tonight for the Smoke, and our 4th of the series. Now the batter, Anna Marie Bruni, falls behind 0-1. We reference Texas State a lot for a couple of reasons. One, we're in their ballpark, and 2, you and I, of course, have a chance to cover them on a regular basis. You play for the program. You're talking about that dual title in 2018. You think about this year as Bruni takes a strike at 0-2. Louisiana won the regular season title, but the Bobcats beat the Cajuns in the tournament championship game. It kind of felt like Texas State was the one that won the bigger title.
That's a good point. You definitely have good arguments that are kind of not convincing me, but making me think twice about, regular season champ versus a tournament championship. I think what's impressive about, and this is a college sports thing, obviously, like we've talked about, but winning the regular season, when you look at something like baseball, softball, it's so much more of a marathon, right? Any team could get hot going into a tournament and find a way to win 4 games in a row. But with the ebbs and flows of a season like softball, I mean, you're playing 50-something games a year just before you even get to postseason. And that's a grind mentally, physically, emotionally. So to be able to sustain consistency for so long is impressive. But at the same time, let's say you win the regular season, you go into postseason and you go to and barbecue, and now everyone's talking about you like, well, were you really the better team? Because there's also the argument that if you are the better team, can you find a way to turn it on?
Bruni strikes out for the first out of the inning. That is also the first strikeout tonight, or make it the second for Vickers. And what a way. It's funny, you said that I was starting to convince you, but I love the argument you were making for the other point as well, because, over the course of 3-4 months' time, a regular season champion has proven to be the best team of them all, not just, when facing one opponent in a smaller sample size, going from a 30-game conference schedule to just a single-game elimination format of the postseason. I can see how a regular season title then would be a little bit more rewarding, as Jefferson flies out to deep left center and retire for the first time tonight. You think about, Major League Baseball. There have been so many times, a team has won 100-plus games all to bow out, in a best-of-5 division series shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I think the competitor in me at the end of the day, if you asked me, would you rather win the regular season or win it all? If I won the regular season and then crapped out near the end and didn't walk away with a postseason bid or a national championship or something like that, it probably would feel like I fell short. You know what I mean? Like you won halfway to get there, but you didn't finish the job. So I think when you look at professional sports in that sense, it does make sense that it's kind of a all or nothing mentality, right? You won the Super Bowl or you didn't. You won the NBA Finals or you didn't. You won the Stanley Cup or you didn't.
Yeah.
So I see both sides.
Maybe the best pro example, the 2007 NFL season, the New England Patriots didn't lose a single regular season game, reached the Super Bowl, so they had a record of 18-0, which had never been done before. Even the perfect Dolphins of 72 didn't win 18 games that year, but the Giants won the Super Bowl as that drops in for a base hit for Espinoza. She's on with a 2-out single. The Giants, who beat them, lost 7 games that year. They were a very average regular season team, but they got hot. And you ask around, which would you rather do? Go 18-0 but lose the Super Bowl, or do what the Giants did? And everybody would take what the Giants season over the Patriots season.
I think what really separates good from great is when teams are great, they find a way to get the job done when their back's against the wall, regardless of what it looked like to get to that game or that point. Whether you're 0-7 or 18-0, if you're going to be great that day, you're going to find a way to win. And there's so many things that go into that with, the effort, the will to win, making adjustments, all these things. But I just think great teams find a way to get it done.
Yeah. And it certainly has been a great team this year, the Smoke. On top here, 4-0, looking for their 17th straight win. That's lasered foul off the bat of Jazz Hill. A ball and 2 strikes.
Jazz Hill is just wearing out the outside part of the plate right now. Really hard hit RBI single back in the second through the 3-4 hole. And we just saw another really hard hit foul ball down the right field line. She's just locked in on that side of the plate.
The inning began with a homer from Maddie Grimm. After that, Vickers retired Bruni and Jefferson. Espinoza base hit. Runner on, 2 away. And the batter here, Jazz Hill. Smoke out hitting the Monarchs 6-1. And leading by 4. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That'll leave in the count. On the ball smothered by Piper behind the dish.
Vickers shook off several pitch calls from Piper until she got to the one that she wanted, but missed it down in the dirt. Trying to get Jazz Hill to chase out of the zone. I'd like to see Vickers challenge her inside because Hill has really hammered the outside part of the plate, but she hasn't gone there yet against Hill.
On the ground to the right side. Backhand by Sam. Flip to second base. Covered by Flaherty, but it's not in time.
What a great play. Unable to get the out, but I didn't even think Sand was going to get to this off the bat of Hill. Full sellout over at second base. I think she glove flipped it over to Flaherty at second, who caught it with her bare hand.
I will say, though, the fact that Sand did field it keeps Espinoza at second. You look at this again, and yeah, it didn't even bother with the bare hand, and she flipped it to Flaherty's bare hand, too.
I mean, look at that glove flip. That's perfect. You know how hard that is to do from your belly? Well, unbelievable.
Accurate right to Flaherty and nearly in time, but a good call. Clearly, Espinoza was safe.
You're right, though. The fact that Sand was able to keep that ball in the infield 100% keeps Espinoza from going first to third, because with the ball going away from third base, Espinoza would have been able to take third easily on that if it leaves the infield.
A little timeout here with pitching coach Tyler Gundelson talking to Vickers in the infield, and in the same token, Kat Tarman talking to her hitter now, Charlotte Eccles. So far, Vickers has gotten the better of Eccles. She's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. We'll see what kind of adjustments Eccles makes facing her a third time. It has the early lead here against Vickers, 1 ball and no strikes.
It's these types of situations where the smoke can really start to put you in the corner if you're their opponent. Vickers got, after the home run, 2 quick outs and a strikeout and a deep fly out of Jefferson, but Espinoza, no problem, single, and we had another hard hit single. Really great effort defensively, but they're just so hard to put away. Even with great plays on defense, you can't get them out.
The runners on base, Espinoza at second, Jazzle at first. Smoke have been so good all year long with 2 outs. Got a 2-out situation here with Eccles at the plates. Pops it up, should end the inning. Vanderford will put it away. And that'll do it for the Smoke in the 4th as they strand 2. But Manny Grimm, a solo homer, has extended the lead. Now 4-0 Smoke on top as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning here at Bobcat Softball Stadium. For nothing. Smoke on top. Manny Grimm, the shortstop for the reigning champions, hit a solo homer in the top of the inning. And with that, a 4-run lead now for the Smoke. Autumn Pease, so far cruising through 3 innings, has only given up a single hit, no runs along the way. 4 strikeouts for Pease. She'll face Susie Brookshire to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. And the first pitch is low for ball 1.
I'd really like to see one of these Monarch hitters try to sit the changeup from Peace, but it's so difficult to do because she's mixing it in so many different counts. And committing to hit the changeup is one of the hardest things to do as a hitter, in my opinion, because you can't be halfway in the boat. You have to fully commit to go changeup, which means you're probably going to have to take a strike or 2 that's hard, that looks really good, that you want to hit. And sometimes if you fully commit to a change, you might not even see it until you have 2 strikes.
Yeah.
But it's just so important to have someone in the lineup try to take it away, whether you try to bunt it for a base hit, if you're a lefty with some speed, even just hit a ground ball through the infield, take a little bit of confidence away from the pitcher in the circle. Because right now it feels like Peace can place it in any count and any time she wants, and these hitters for the Monarchs are nowhere close.
Yeah, 4 pitches, Brookshire walks for the 2nd time. And so the leadoff batter's off for the first time of this game for the Monarchs. And Brookshire, the only player that Pease has awarded a free pass to. That'll bring up Kelly Torres.
This is the exact same part of the lineup back in the second where the Monarchs had their best chance to score. See if Kelly Torres tries to go to the bunt here again, get something going.
Lifted in the air and foul. It's out of play. 0-1 to Kelly Torres. All right, so the Olympics, the opening ceremonies earlier today, led us to wondering about your favorite Olympic sport to watch, but you can't say softball. As we know, of course, softball not in this year's Olympic Games, but you get the idea.
Am I limited to exclusively summer Olympic sports?
I'll tell you what, how about we get your summer Olympic choice and winter Olympic choice?
All right, summer choice gymnastics, winter Olympics, the half pipe.
The half pipe, okay. So mine's very obvious answer, basketball, right? Such an easy one to follow, and of course, players in the NBA, not just for Team USA, but around the world, and all playing in the Olympics. As Torres lines one to right, caught by Howe for the first out. So if you were to say you can't say basketball because that's too easy of a choice, I think it depends on who the stars are, right? Sometimes, the women's gymnastics team, they have stars stand out, so that becomes must-watch TV. Or there could be, in swimming, there's standout stars there in swimming as well. So I think it kind of depends on who the standouts are, through the first couple of days of the Olympics, if it's not basketball.
So does this mean outside of basketball that you're a bandwagoner?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll cop to that. Now, winter, again, kind of the easy answer there for me is hockey, because it's a very Americanized sport.
Hockey's always fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I also do enjoy, which is ironic because anyone that knows me knows I am not a runner. I do enjoy the track and field because it's just the adrenaline of watching people race. It's kind of like the swimming, just getting into screaming at someone in a pool that can't hear you is just so exciting.
Oh, 2 to Kearney. It takes that pitch out of the zone, a ball and 2 strikes. If not hockey, how about figure skating?
Oh, I do enjoy that. Yeah. Fun fact, my mom used to figure skate up until high school.
Really?
Competitively, yes. Very hard. I have heard a lot of stories.
Did she grow up in Texas?
Yeah, she did, actually.
Swing and a miss. Kearney down on strikes. Second time she is struck out. And now 2 outs of the inning. And Pease up to 5 strikeouts in the game.
That changeup from Autumn Pease is just filthy. She can place it anywhere she wants in any count, able to throw it for a strike, throw it for a chase pitch. I love it so much.
How competitive is figure skating in Texas? That's what I wonder.
Honestly, I don't know how to answer that because I don't know anyone else that's done it. But when my mom was growing up, she's from Austin, so just right up the road, and she would fly to Dallas on the weekends for competitions. But it was, I would equate it to like a travel ball in softball. You travel to compete on the weekends. You got morning practices on the rink. Very individualized sport if you're a figure skater. So I'm sure that can be a bit isolating at times. But I don't know about the landscape of it now, but I do really enjoy watching figure skating in the Winter Olympics.
Swing and a miss, Slaughterback chasing one out of the zone, and Pease up to 6 strikeouts in the game. A leadoff walk for the Monarchs. After that, nothing doing against Autumn Pease. Through 4, she's hung up with donuts against the Monarchs. Smoke on top, 4-0. We're back after this. We are through 4 innings heading into the 5th. 4-0 Smoke on top of the Monarchs. Brian Freeman alongside former Division I player Haley McKay. Glad to have you with us here at Bobcat Softball Stadium. Smoke, winners of 16 straight, looking to make it 17 in a row, leading 4-zip. Jaden Vickers in the circle, start of the game, and now preparing for her 5th inning of work. Gave up 3 runs in the 2nd, and then the solo homer hit by Maddie Grimm in the 4th inning, the scoring for the Smoke in this game. Here in the 5th, we'll see Savannah Jaquish lead things off, followed by Morgan Howe and Jada Cody. And Jaquish takes a strike right down the middle to start the inning.
Jaquish has been very patient in her at-bats tonight. Haven't seen her be overly aggressive at the plate, but she did hit the ball hard in her last at-bat to Flaherty. I would say at shortstop, but Flaherty more so fielded it right behind second base.
There we look at Devin Flaherty, great player to Florida State in the ACC. That ball drilled right field, deep and gone. Savannah Jaquish with a leadoff home run. Second homer of the night for the Smoke, and now it's 5-0.
You mentioned the pitch that she took down the middle. That swing said, I'm not missing another one. No doubt, right on time from Jaquish. That ball left the park in a hurry.
And yet again, a home run for the Smoke, hit to the opposite field. So many of the homers we have seen at this ballpark with the Smoke have been hit opposite way.
I mean, she doesn't even finish her swing all the way there, and that's just all about being on time. When you're on time as a hitter, you let the pitcher provide the power, and with the way that these Smoke hitters swing the bat, they just get to contact so quickly. And all you got to do when you're on time is get to contact, extend through the ball, and you're right on the money.
On the topic of home runs, as now we see a pinch hitter come up here in place of Morgan Howe. It's Samantha Schau pinch hitting here. Swung on to center. Goodbye. A mammoth shot to center from Schau. Back-to-back home runs for the Smoke. Oh my goodness, what a swing. 6-0 Smoke on top.
I think I'm speechless. I mean, we've seen so many balls that have been hit so hard here. I don't think there's one that's been crushed more than that one. As a pinch hitter, nonetheless. Unreal. Look, the Monarchs, they can't even believe it. Look at their faces.
I mean, off the bat, you're wondering just how far that was going to go. Where would it land? It lands on the top of the roof.
Schau went down and got that, too. She just golfed that thing all the way out of here.
And so, for the Smoke, they are up to 6 homers in the series, 3 in this game, all solo shots. Had a game a couple of weeks ago against the Tidal Wave at 5 solo homers. You look at that Monarch bullpen. Sona Halajan is in there. Trinity Slaughterback is also there. Alexa DeFeo is there. But it looks like Vickers is going to stay in the game for now. You talk about a player who has really had the Monarchs number. It's been Samantha Schau. You know, big swing there, yes, but she also, you know, the circle has done so many great things. She's 3-0 against the Monarchs this year. Got the win last night. In 21 innings, she's given up just 3 earned runs. And now doing it at the plate.
She's just locked in against the Monarchs. And I know I've said this before, but to do it as a pinch hitter is just so impressive. I mean, you've sat around cold for 4 and, well, no thirds innings, but 4 and some change at this point. To just be able to come in off the bench and swing like that so early in the count, sheesh. My jaw's still on the floor.
You talked about at times, you know, you come in as a pinch hitter, you kind of cold a little bit, right? You're not in, you haven't been invested in the game as a player in the field. You know, to go up there and swing with so much confidence like that, despite being kind of new to this game, just tells you how locked in Xiao is, no matter when she comes into the game.
And it's all about receiving information from your teammates.
Deep to right. Will the Park hold this? No! Back to back to back. This time, Jada Cody's turn. And all Jaden Vickers can do is shake her head. 7-0 smoke with 3 straight home runs.
For me, this is the difference in the game. We've talked about the Monarchs against Peace, unable to pick a pitch to attack. The changeup from Peace has just been deadly to them all night long. And now the Smoke, on the other hand, just absolutely locked in. Look at how much Cody uses her lower half. And again, another home run opposite field, off the scoreboard.
Yeah. That, by the way, will be it for Jaden Vickers.
It's one thing to get out in front of a pitch and yank it over the fence to your pull side, but to be able to crush the ball so deep over the fence the way that the Smoke has done to the opposite field, just unbelievable.
So Vickers is out. Insert Alexa DeFeo from Akron, Ohio, a former walk-on to the Zips program out of the MAC, facing the Smoke for the first time this year. I guess the good news is doesn't inherit any base runners. Here the bases are empty. Nobody outs after back-to-back-to-back home runs hit. You see that Jaden Vickers talking to her head coach, Candace Fenton-Bachbrader. And we saw her react after the last homer hit by Jada Cody. And I'll be honest, with the college level bats, the way that ball came off of it, probably be a routine pop-up, but a little bit more juice in that bat. That ball just carried out of here.
Yeah, these bats definitely have extra juice in them. There's no doubt about that. But even back to the home run that Vickers gave up to Xiao, I mean, that wasn't a strike. Xiao went down and golfed that thing out of here. So as a pitcher, I mean, sometimes you just got to tip your cap, and you see Vickers over there just kind of trying to laugh it off a little bit. And it's not that she enjoys giving up home runs, but at some point you just got to say, you know what, I got to tip my hat. Xiao went down and got her a pitch she was on time for, and I'll get the next one. It is what it is. But, man, I'm just so impressed with the way that, one, these hitters are swinging the bats, but two, just I need to get down there and swing one of these pro bats.
Maddie Grimm rolls one to the right side, and it's not handled by Torres. Sand would throw into the dirt. Torres couldn't handle it, and Grimm's going to reach. And the 4th straight batter to reach, although the ball this time staying in the park. Stays in the infield, in fact, but the Monarchs can't make the infield play.
Tough play here for Sand. She's ranging away from first, had a little bit more time than I think she initially thought when she gathered the ball. Just kind of chunked it right into the feet of Torres. Tough pick, but Torres probably wants that one back. It's a pick she knows she can make. That was always so frustrating to me as a first baseman. I know it's not my job to dig a bad throw out. It is, but it isn't, right? You always want to pick your defense up. You know Sand wants that ball back to make a better throw, but as a former first baseman, those sting the most.
Well, that pitch there got away from DeFeo. And then it wound up taking our plate umpire's mask off as well in the process. And so Grimm takes second base easily. That's Jermaine O'Gwyn reassuring everybody of the ball strike count after getting his mask back. 1-1 is in there for strike 1 and 2. Final numbers tonight for Jaden Vickers: 4 innings, 7 runs, all earned off 9 hits, a couple of walks, and a couple of strikeouts. Ground ball, gloved by Vanderford. Looks to first, back to second, but the tag not in time.
What a heads-up play from Sarah Vanderford. We talked about her and her defense and Charlotte Eccles' defense early in the broadcast. Here it is on full display. If she throws that just a split second sooner, she's got Grimm at second, excuse me.
Well, again, you kind of wonder if there were instant replay, would that be challenged? Because I think she was out.
Well, and the umpire was on the backside of second base making that call. So he's at a really tough position to really be able to see that. Definitely a bang-bang play, and it looked like Vanderford kind of double-clutched a little bit, maybe didn't quite have a great grip on it. Could have been waiting on sand to get over to the bag maybe, but really, really close play. I think with replay, we definitely would have taken another look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there would have been enough sufficient evidence to overturn it, but I do wish we could take another look at those.
Did you like the decision by Vanderford to try to get the lead runner as opposed to get the shore out, possibly at first?
I did. I think she had a really solid chance to get Grimm. However, I don't think Grimm was going to go after Vanderford made the throw because it looked like to me Grimm didn't expect Vanderford to snag it, so she already pumped the brakes harder than probably usual. So given the fact that there's been 3 home runs in a row, then we had an error, 4 base runners in a row, getting an out there probably would have helped slow the bleeding a little bit.
Oh, Flaherty, what a play there for the force at third. Kevin Flaherty with a great infield play there for the Monarchs. You talked her up earlier for good reason. There's not been a whole lot getting by her in this game or this season. Flaherty makes that play for the first out.
I mean, are you kidding me? She just made a backhand pick from her knees and threw the lead runner out at third base. And she just cool, calm, and collected over at shortstop. No big deal.
Now outside the rain, Espinoza. All the talk of these home runs, the Smoke have hit 3 in this inning. Espinoza herself has homered in 7 consecutive games. An incredible streak. For South of the rain, Espinoza, swing and a miss here, nothing in 2. And the lead runner rather, advances to third on a stolen base, Anna Marie Bruni. That's an important stolen base there because it does put a potential run rule in effect at third if she can come home to score.
Bruni absolutely just taking advantage of DeFeo being a little bit lax in the circle. I don't even think DeFeo looked at her once over there at second base, had no idea where she was. Bruni able to take third easily.
Espinoza lays off, and now Jefferson takes second without a throw. Another stolen base here for the Smoke. So runner second to third, 1 away. And the count even to Espinoza 2-2.
You know, you asked a couple plays ago what I thought about the Vanderford decision to try to go for the lead runner. Now I'm wondering if she would have. Well, I guess you wouldn't have had a force because then the play from Flaherty would have just been a backhand in the hole, and she probably didn't have an out there. So it's probably a wash in the grand scheme of things.
That ball drilled to right for a base hit. That's going to score Bruni. Jefferson's going to stop at third base to make it 8-0 as Espinoza drives in her teammates. And now the Smoke potentially in run rule territory.
Espinoza just staying so hot at the plate. As that ball out into right was on a rope. Easy RBI single. And even if Bruni didn't get herself into scoring or to third base, she was already in scoring position rather, I still think she would have scored easily from that ball to right field.
And now the 8th bat of the inning comes up, Jazz Hill. A 4-1 fifth so far for the Smoke to include 3 straight solo homers to start the inning. Swing and a miss, nothing in 2. So for Espinoza, possible that was her last at-bat of the game. So it could end her consecutive games homered streak. Now the stat archives of the WPF, there really aren't any, so one is to assume that streak is the longest in the short history of this league. When it comes to D1 softball, they don't track that particular record, but Major League Baseball has. And the record is 8 consecutive games set by 3 players. Dale Long in 1956, Don Mattingly in 1987, and Ken Griffey Jr. in 1993 as Flaherty snags that for the second out.
I just love that you know that that stat exists.
Oh, that was an easy Google search. Absolutely, yeah. So 2 outs. That'll bring up Charlotte Eccles. 9th batter here in the 5th inning for the Smoke. A team accustomed to so many big innings this year, crooked numbers, have put up 4 in this frame. Scored 3 in the 2nd inning. Never had that monster inning last night, but 3 2-run frames enough for a 6-3 win.
If I'm DeFeo right now, this is the hitter that I need to get out in this order. It's no secret that Charlotte Eccles is incredibly gifted and a phenomenal hitter, but she struggled tonight. Her barrel's lagging behind. She's struck out once and flew out twice, both to the left side of the infield, which tells me that she's late on everything. So if I'm DeFeo, I have to go right at Eccles here, force her to make an adjustment.
Which she does. There's a base hit. Sand, with the effort at second base, couldn't make the play. That'll drive home Jefferson and extends the lead to 9-0.
I've talked about adjustments so many times this season and here tonight alone, and that's a great example of one. I just mentioned Eccles was behind, her barrel was lagging, everything that she swung at she was late on. Now here in her 4th at bat, she finally gets the barrel out on time and just ropes the ball to her pull side out in right field.
So now Jake Wish batting for the 2nd time of the inning. Started things off with a home run off of Vickers. Also behind here, 0-2.
I don't think Jake Wish liked that one based on her facial expression.
Seen a lot of expressive looks on the faces of the players tonight. Jake Wish pops this one up. Flaherty from shorts has the grab to end the inning, but 10 come to the plate, 5 come home to score. The Smoke homer 3 times, and now they are 3 outs away from another run rule victory. They lead 9-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th here in San Marcos. Central Texas, shades of pink and violet, a little bit of orange in there as well as the sun is setting here in San Marcos, maybe setting on the game. 9-0, Smoke on top as we go to the bottom of the 5th. It is run rule territory here. The Smoke have to protect a lead of at least 8 to end the game early. Autumn Pease in the circle here for the reigning champions. 4 innings for her so far, 4 scoreless innings, only 1 hit given up. And I'm looking for 3 outs before the Monarchs can score twice.
The Monarchs are going to have to make some serious adjustments here at the bottom of the order the 2nd time through and quickly if they want to extend this game beyond the bottom of the 5th inning. So far, sorry, you go ahead.
At the top of this inning again, just a very explosive inning for the Smoke. 5-run scoring. Started the inning off with back-to-back-to-back home runs.
I'd say that's pretty explosive. And they weren't just clear the fence home runs. They were absolute bombs.
Devin Flaherty leads off here in the bottom of the fifth for the Monarchs, trailing 9-0. And the first pitch from Autumn Pease is low for ball one. So the Smoke in the series up to 7 home runs, and remarkably by 7 different players.
That's just, I mean, it shouldn't surprise me at this point with what we've seen, but yet hearing you say it, it still shocks me.
Yeah. Depth, we keep saying that. You know, depth in the pitching staff, depth in the lineup, no holes, 1 through 9. You know, that's what the Smoke team is, a team that is easily the deepest in the league.
And you could even take that no holes argument a step further. You know, top of last inning, I was talking about how DeFeo should go after Eccles because she struggled tonight, but then she turns right around and makes an adjustment and has an RBI single. So there's not even a hole in the lineup within the game because of how well the Smoke makes adjustments. And for me, that's been the story of the game. The Monarchs haven't made an adjustment against Peace. They don't know what they want to attack. They've been eaten up by both the changeup and the hard stuff because they haven't been able to pick a side of the plate or a speed to focus on. And yet you have the Smoke adjusting within the at-bat, within the game, just absolutely swinging to do damage, whereas the Monarchs been on their heels.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Count fills out here to Autumn Pease, or from Autumn Pease to Devin Flaherty. Kylie Sand and Briley St. Clair also due to hit for the Monarchs here in the 5th inning. There's a fly ball to left. 2. Jazz Hill puts it away for the first out. By the way, a couple of defensive changes for the Smoke here in the bottom of the 5th. Denver Bryant's now at shortstop in place of Maddie Grimm. There's Bryant, who we've seen make some really great plays at short this year. And new in the game in right field, Samantha Schau, who of course had that pinch hit mammoth home run in the top of the inning. Takes the place of Morgan Howe. Nobody on, 1 out for Kylie Sand. And a miss inside by Pease for ball 1.
It was huge of Peace to be able to work herself back into the count and retire Devin Flaherty. You never want to walk the 9-hole, especially after you just had a huge inning, then turn it over to the top of your lineup.
One ball, 1 strike here to Kylie Sand. Briley St. Clair waiting on deck. And again, the Monarchs needing 2 runs to extend the game here in the 5th. As Sand looks at a strike. Great looking off-speed pitch there from Pease. It's 1-2.
You can just tell by the way that Kylie Sand took that pitch that she has no idea when it's coming. Nothing about that take looked confident. It wasn't a, I saw it out of the hand and I'm going to choose not to swing. It was a, oh shoot, that's an off speed, I shouldn't swing at this kind of take.
Not often, by the way, a fan drops into the booth. Is our cam op over there, Krista. Good snag over there.
Oh, she gave us a salute too.
We owe her a salute in return at some point. But a fan just came in and gifted Haley and I each a hot dog and a pretzel, soft pretzel.
Are you a hot dog or a pretzel guy?
Pretzels are, I think, is a rare treat. Hot dogs are more kind of the norm. So I like the occasional pretzel more than I do the regular hot dog. How about that?
That's the most unhelpful answer ever.
All right, just asked by our producer, what's a dipping sauce preference, cheese or mustard? Gotta go cheese.
I don't really go with either because I don't love
Just
pretzels.
plain?
Well,
Or you don't eat pretzels at all?
Yeah, and if I do, I'd prefer like a cinnamon sugar one. And I'm definitely not dipping that in cheese or mustard. I don't like mustard, so that's off the table.
So you like the Michael Scott pretzel. Did you watch The Office?
Only clips. I haven't.
Only
no.
Okay, so you have no idea the reference
No,
I'm
no.
making right now.
No.
Okay.
I'm probably going to get shunned for saying
That's
that
okay.
on air, but
There was a pretzel day that they had at the office that they worked at, and he wanted to get the works, the sweets works, so like everything sweet. I think it was like marshmallows, chocolate chips, cinnamon,
that's serious.
sugar, chocolate drizzle.
It reminds me of in the movie the Elf when he dumps everything into his spaghetti. I know it's a spaghetti, not a
Maple
pretzel,
syrup,
but
yes, yeah.
that's too much for me. Just classic cinnamon sugar.
And how he packed his dad lunch to go, a bag of spaghetti filled with maple syrup.
Yes.
Grounded, and that is a fair ball. Easy play made by Espinoza at first base, and now the Monarchs down to the final out.
I've just been so impressed by Autumn Peace all night long. Even in long at bats, she still just finds a way to hit a spot, execute an off speed. She's kept the Monarchs off balance all night long. Nothing about what she's done in the circle has been predictable.
Pinch hitter up here for the Monarchs. Jenna Keene is going to pinch hit for Bradley St. Clair. First time seeing Keene tonight, and takes a pitch a little bit low. Ball one here to Jenna Keene out of Los Alamitos, California. We've talked at times about her jersey number, unusual, 64, and the story behind it. Again, she drives an ambulance truck for her station number, 64, why she wears that number. I had spoken to Sarah Vanderford about that. Vanderford, who's on deck, and Vanderford herself didn't know that story.
It's interesting. Typically, as your teammate, you know that's something that you would probably assume that they know, but these athletes haven't been together long.
Keene with a sharp ground ball to the right side, taken care of by Janae Jefferson. And they're going to call it a night early in San Marcos as the Smoke run rule the Monarchs win number 17 in a row for the Texas Smoke, up to a record of 20-1. Another dominant effort turned in by the reigning champs.
The Texas Smoke just in control on both sides of the ball all night long, and it started in the circle with Autumn Peace. She set the tone early. The offense gave her the run support that she needed way back in the second, and they just continue to keep their foot on the gas offensively to run away with this one in run rule fashion.
And our play of the game honors go to Autumn Peace. 5 scoreless innings, holding the Monarchs to a single hit tonight. A number of strikeouts along the way, struck out 6, and Autumn Peace, again, our player of the game.
I've said it all night long. The changeup tonight for Autumn Peace is what set everything else up for her. Got strikeouts with her curveball, her screwball, her changeup. Just mixed speeds and sides of the plate so effectively. The Monarchs unable to make any adjustments offensively, but not to take away from the performance that Autumn Peace turned in tonight.
And on top of Peace's shutout performance, the offense providing the Smoke with 9 runs, hitting 4 homers, all solo homers hit by 4 different players. And the dominance continues for the Smoke, and we'll have Game 3 of the series tomorrow, a 6 p.m. first pitch here from San Marcos. Well, that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight of Game 2 of the series, with the fireworks show now on deck here at Bobcat Softball Stadium. For Haley McKay, I'm Brian Freeman, saying so long from San Marcos. The final score in a 5-inning run rule, the Smoke 9, the Monarchs nothing. For more information on the WPF, log on to WProFastPitch.com. This has been a presentation of the WPF. Until next time, good night from Bobcat Softball Stadium.